It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back into another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. And if you're not watching the show there already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss whenever we post a video, miss a Smitty Steelers in 60, or miss when we go live on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern for Steelers Saturday Sit Down. If you want to check us out there, subscribe to the channel, never miss anything. Also, follow us wherever you listen to the podcast as well, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find a podcast, we are there. So you can give us a 5-star review and check out the description of each show. Whether you're on a listening platform or over on YouTube, you're going to see all the links to the great sponsors that you're going to hear about throughout this show, as well as year 8 of Rockin' Around the 412. It's our Christmas fundraiser, if you're not aware, where we provide children in the local 724 and 412 areas the Christmas that they have always deserved. And Smitty and I never had to worry about where it was coming from growing up. So we've been doing this the past 7 years, been able to help 177 kids in the local Pittsburgh area. Going to pass $40,000 raised this year. And we want to continue to push that as much as we can. You never know who could see this thing and make it an extra special year. So if you want to at least share the message, the GoFundMe link is below. You could donate there as well. Or if you want to reach out to Smitty and I directly, we can take the donations as well. And there's prizes for donating as well. GoFundMe doesn't want you to know that, but we give away some Penguins tickets, some Pittsburgh sports memorabilia, Game Changers shirts, Around the 412 merch, all sorts of goodies for you guys. So if you want to check us out there, donate to the cause, share the message. Also, soon, we're not entirely sure when, maybe in October, we're going to partner with the East Rochester Salvation Army once again for the 3rd year in a row in the name of our late friend Dalton Keene. So if you want to check that out and get involved that way, we're going to have opportunities to do so, just not quite yet. So right now we got the GoFundMe. Check it out below if you want to get involved.
I was sitting there thinking, though, like I'm looking at today's date and it's the 23rd of September.
Oh, yeah.
Like
October is in like a week, a little over a week.
This is the last full week of September. Next Wednesday will be October 1st. Crazy. How the calendar flies. Once it becomes football season, snap your fingers, the rest of the year flies by. Speaking of football season, that's what we're here to talk about. The Pittsburgh Steelers moved to 2-1 with their victory in Foxborough over the New England Patriots. Definitely one of the weirder games I feel like that I've watched in some time.
Weirder weekends.
Yes, actually, very true. I actually put out my Smitty Steelers and 60 following the game was literally just that. Like I was sitting there like, man, I don't really feel that different after winning this game. That's probably what my Smitty Steelers and 60 is going to be about. It's still like the flaws that this team has, despite there were some encouraging signs from the defense, even though the pass defense was what it was. But anyways, like that was my plan. And then like they go to bonus coverage, 3 straight games. There's blocked field goals. Like, 1 return for a touchdown, 1 sets up a game-winning field goal. Actually, 2 return for a touchdown, 1 sets up a game-winning field goal for the Browns to beat the Packers. So I was like, all right, this is a weird week. Just be happy you got out of Foxborough with a win. Very rarely do the Steelers win in Foxborough as well. Just be happy about that. They were one of 3 road teams to win this weekend. So, like, I don't know. That ended up being what I talked about. Was like, hey, just sometimes you just got to chalk it up to that and just be happy about getting the W. Don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about the things that this team still has to work on, the questions that didn't get answered. But, yeah, it absolutely was just a wild week to begin with. But definitely the Steelers getting 5 turnovers in that one and still it being a 1-possession game. Very odd.
Yeah, it was super odd. A lot of continuations from things we've seen in the first 2 weeks for some aspects, and then a lot of differences as well, specifically on the defensive side of the football. But yeah, this was a weird game. If you look strictly at the box score alone for this game and didn't actually watch it, you'd be puzzled as to, one, not only how the Steelers didn't win by more with 5 turnovers, but then on the flip side of that, looking at what they did offensively, you're like, how did the Steelers win this game, period? And that's kind of how you figured watching this game too, is that it was almost like neither team wanted to win this game. And it was like, here you go, here you go, here you go. No, you take it. I want to take it. No, you take it.
The clip from semi-pro Jackie Moon just passing the ball back and forth.
Yeah, honestly, because it didn't seem like anybody wanted to actually win this game. The Steelers were taking away the ball so much from the Patriots, and the offense just didn't want to do anything with it. And the Patriots, despite their best defensive efforts, weren't able to do anything and were giving away the ball on offense so quickly. It was just a weird game overall. And like you said, it was a weird game, weird week with all the blocked field goals. That made last night's game against the Ravens and the Lions even more interesting, like going down to the wire where obviously you think that the Lions have it in hand, but without all the weirdness from this past week, I was watching to that last second to actually see what was
Derrick Henry
to that game.
Fumbles in 3 straight games to open the season.
Yeah. Has he ever fumbled in 3 straight games ever in his career?
Yeah,
I feel like that's probably not a normality in his career. So it's just a weird thing. It's hard to win in this league. So I'm grateful that the Steelers did so, but I'm not going to lie and say that we're walking away feeling great about the win. Just happy we got the win though.
It's one of those things where like my mindset typically with these games is when you win a game like this, it buys you time. It buys you time to figure out the issues that you had even in victory and be able to work on them. You just got to stack W's whenever you can, and you'd rather work on those things in a win than in a loss. At the same time, unless you feel good about the team being able to fix those solutions, I don't know how you can feel all that different. I will say in this one, the stones that they turned over hoping to impact the run defense, I think went 1 for 1. Cole Holcomb playing quite a bit. Peyton Wilson playing less, getting reduced down to pretty much the role that he had last season. Jabrill Peppers playing a ton. Juan Thornhill going from 100% of the snaps to under 38% of the snaps was massive. And then obviously this isn't like a benching or anything like that, but Derrick Harmon getting into the lineup. And we were like, yeah, he'll probably get his feet wet. 35 snaps. I would say that's more than
a lot more than the 10 that you were talking about.
Yeah. So he did have a sack. Also, Kenneth Gainwell did score a touchdown, but it was 35 snaps, not 10, and it was a rushing touchdown, not a receiving. So I'll give myself 2 half points to make 1 full point there. But yeah, I think that the run defense definitely played better. Under 3.3 yards per carry for the Patriots. Their most explosive play in the run game was a Drake Maye 15-yard run, which was on, a broken play, obviously, nothing downfield. He just decided to scramble. That was no explosives in the run game, no runs over 20 yards, and just a 25% success rate for New England. So I thought 1 for 1 in terms of them turning those stones over and what they looked like. And to be honest, that is the one area where I would say, okay, you get the Sean Elliott back. That could improve it a little bit more. Joey Porter Jr.'s turned into not just a guy that I think is more willing, but potentially even average to good in terms of a run defending corner. And I think that, you get him back, that could help in that area as well. Now, I don't know that either one's going to happen this upcoming week. I'm just speaking in general here, post bye. But the biggest thing, and we talked about this, was getting Derrick Harmon back in the fold. And I just talked about how I thought the stones turning over, they were 1 for 1. Derrick Harmon to me is 1 for 1 in terms of impressing as well. I mean, I'm not going to get ahead of my skis here, but compared to what, I think he matched expectation for us. We think very highly of this player, and he went out and looked very good on Sunday.
He did. Playing in 47% of the snaps, a lot more than either of us thought he was going to. I feel like probably a lot more than most people who even thought Derrick Harmon would be playing in this one would think that he was going to get into. And not only did he play in that many snaps, but he looked effective in it. And I think that you saw his presence alone affected the entire defense. And I don't think that I'm really reinventing the wheel whenever I say, like, I think that if you're structuring a defense, I think that it goes from the front to the back in terms of building it in a effective way. So you start up front at the defensive line. And I think that that's part of the problem the Steelers have had the past 2 weeks when it comes to their run defense, is that whenever your defensive line is getting blown off the ball like they had been, that just affects what your linebackers can do, affects even further back what the secondary looks like from that. It just, you build up front, and how it is playing up front affects how it looks in the back, especially with the linebackers. And I think that's part of the reason why the linebacking core and Patrick Queen was not looking up to stuff in the first 2 games. The inclusion of Derrick Harmon, I think you saw an immediate impact from himself as an individual player. I thought he looked really good. He, like you mentioned, he had the sack and was a noticeable difference on that defensive line. But I also don't think that it's unrelated that in that moment, Keanu Benton has his best game of the season, and Cam Hayward has a really good game. He also has a sack as well. And moving backwards from that, whenever the defensive line is playing well, Patrick Queen has his best game of the year, and Cole Holcomb looked really good. I think that just his inclusion by himself and the impact of player that he can be affected enough of the defense where that's why you saw the turnaround in the run game, because you got effective defensive line play, which opened up the lanes for the linebackers to be able to play effectively. And it builds on itself from the front towards the back. Like I said, I'm not reinventing the wheel by saying that that's an important thing and that's how you should build a defense. But having a player like that, you haven't seen that the first 2 weeks. And that's part of the problem, is that the defensive line was getting pushed around and it affected how the linebackers are playing. And that's why the run defense was so poor. Keanu Benton is quite literally, and I know we're going to get to an ad, but he is quite literally in this one a game changer because of the effect that he had on the defense.
What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Got to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Game Changers. That's their logo. This is one of their shirts. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Doesn't matter if it's sports, music, movies. They got you covered with their designs. Over 5,000 different designs in that catalog over there. GameChanger.la or Pick6.la. You'll save yourself $10 when you use the code AT412 on your order. The link is below to both of those sites. Go check out their entire catalog. Again, 5,000 different designs. If you go with the black or the white, it'll be true to size. If you go with the pepper, which I'm wearing right now, or the ivory, they'll be a bit oversized. It's a heavyweight material. Beautiful stuff. Go check them out. And again, save yourself $10 using code AT412 at checkout. Yeah, I think that, to your point, and I wholeheartedly agree, is you get one player back in the fold and it kind of can elevate everybody else. That's why, when you lose one player, it doesn't necessarily seem so important, but then you think of the trickle-down effect, the domino effect that it's going to have on other players, whether it be from an effectiveness standpoint, their role, whatever it might be. It impacts more than one player when one player is out. I think you're seeing it right now with Deshaun Elliott out and the trickle-down effect that has on this team. So, I wholeheartedly agree there. I thought Cam Hayward was the best player in the field. I thought TJ Watt was also very good. And if I was picking the 3 stars, I really struggled going between Derrick Harmon, but I'm going to go with Nick Herbig, who I thought was their best pass rusher, even though TJ had 2 sacks in this game. One of them was a cleanup because of the pressure that Herbig created. Mm-hmm. But he also had the tougher matchup going against 4th overall pick Will Campbell. And we said we were looking forward to that matchup. Nick Herbig is just such a unique skill set. Whether you are – he's going to get the same results, it seems like, whether he's going against a 1st overall pick or an undrafted tackle. He's going to have the same results no matter what, and created a ton of pressure. Just always seems to have a knack for making some splash, force that fumble. Just what a great player, what a great pass rusher. I'm really, I don't want to think too far down the line here, but I'm curious to see how this whole thing plays out with his future and stuff like that. But at least in the meantime, too, I didn't think he was so bad against the run where it's a conversation even. I think that he held up fine against it, and maybe that is a product of New England's offense, and we'll see as time goes on here. Maybe it was a product of everybody else playing so well where they were kind of able to mask it. I don't know, but I thought it held up just fine against the run too. So I thought Nick Herbig was awesome in this game. Again, to talk about the lows of this defense here, to me, it's the middle of the field pass game is really what's carving them up right now. They continue to play this cookie cutter cover 1, cover 3 stuff. And if they do that on Sunday, Kevin O'Connell, similarly to Shane Steichen last year, I think is going to have all the answers for it. I don't care if it's Carson Wentz. I don't care if it's Tyler Weeks throwing the ball. I think they can carve this defense up if they just sit in what they've been sitting in. So, and they get Jordan Addison back as well. So I really think that this is an offense that provides a lot of problems for the Steelers defense if they continue to play the way that they have, specifically with what they're allowing through the air right now in the middle of the field. I don't know. We'd hope that Peyton Wilson would be the solution to this. There's another miscommunication this past Sunday where Hunter Henry is wide open in the middle of the field on a 4th and 2 for a touchdown. I typically struggle to talk about these because it's like you never know like whose assignment it is or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain that's Peyton Wilson's guy in that situation. The other one was also, somebody not in the right spot. Jabrill Peppers is like pointing to Chuck Clark at Hunter Henry, and then Hunter Henry ends up being completely wide open on the first touchdown that the Patriots scored. So these are the things that continue to cause the Steelers issues, and it's not getting any easier from here on out. So I don't know that Joey Porter Jr. and Deshaun Elliott being back in the fold is just enough to fix that specific issue that they're having. I am encouraged and hopeful with the direction of the run defense. Man, I'm not sure that they have an easy button to press to suddenly fix what's going on with the passing attack.
I don't think so either. I think that the getting the guys back from injury will help some. Deshaun Elliott, I think, would be a helpful use covering those tight ends. Getting Joey Porter Jr. back, that at least gives some leeway to move Brandon Echols to the inside if you need him to cover over the middle as well, instead of playing predominantly on the outside too. I think that also Darius Slay in this one getting hurt didn't help any matters for the passing attack defense.
I mean, hey, cap tip to Brandon Echols though. He comes up with an interception, which Cam Hayward tipped. And then also, I mean, you give probably more credit to Pop Douglas at the end of the game than Echols, but he's the one that tackled him. He got him to the ground. I mean, if Douglas just extends forward, it's a first down, and I don't know how the game plays out, but I mean, he's able to bring him down once he saw him take that first step back towards the line of scrimmage. So Echols, two pretty impactful plays in this one. Yeah,
for sure. But I think that if you're looking at how you'd rather get beat defensively, and traditionally how the Steelers would have rather been beat defensively in terms of not necessarily like you want to give up yardage, but like if you're sacrificing being able to stop the run for some of that over middle pass game, like do you live with that? Like if they have an effective run defense?
Will. Yeah, I think and here's the thing too, this is like a bigger picture thing here, but especially in today's NFL, I think it's all about like, hey, we'll give you the yards. Like you're not getting in the end zone. So like if they're holding teams to 3 or end up taking the ball away like they did in this case, like that's I think that Alan and I just had a long conversation about this, but I think that it's a turnover culture. They value the football more than they value the grass. They'll give up the yards, but at the end of the day, you're not putting that ball in the end zone against them. And in today's NFL, I can't necessarily say it to a fault. They've obviously been successful to a degree doing it. Now, how successful is this approach against the elite teams? That's the thing. Like we know that they can win 9-10 games doing this, but when push comes to shove, are they going to be able to do this against the Buffalo Bills, against the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, I know that the Chiefs don't look very good right now, but just talking about, historical precedents here against the Kansas City Chiefs, Chargers right now with the way that they're playing, like, is it going to stack up against those teams? TBD, but I lean no. But to answer your question, yeah, I think that they would much rather this be the approach of the defense than the inverse of it.
So in your opinion, do you think that the bigger issue is the scheme that the Steelers are trying to run, or do you think it's more personnel?
I think they're and don't get me wrong, maybe some of the scheme stuff will change when you have Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. back. But like the whole idea, I thought, with getting the pieces that they had on the back end was to vary up the defense and throw a bunch of different looks. Like I said, right now, we thought things were going to be different. They're just running a bunch of cover 1 and cover 3 without any disguise. They're 32nd disguise rate right now in the entire league. They're not doing anything different. They're not throwing anything exotic at teams. And maybe it's because of the couple injuries they had. I don't know. Maybe it's the Steelers being the Steelers, but I don't know. I tend, just because of historical tendency here, to lean on being the latter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in, because you can do fine and well against a weaker schedule, but once you get to the postseason, if that's where your goals end up being and you finally make it there, what's a team like Buffalo going to do to you over the middle of the field? I mean, even if you're stopping the run, they're going to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Those elite teams, they're better than that. And you mentioned like the Chiefs, like they're playing for but Andy Reid is so good that I imagine that he is going to figure out to poke holes in that offense where it doesn't matter who is in coverage.
Well, and I think that you trust them to be able to convert a lot when you get into that condensed space where they're able to turn what the Steelers would be willing to give you and hope it turns into a field goal into a touchdown. I think, similarly to the Steelers offense, not to flip the script here, but like the Steelers offense isn't good, but they're unbelievable in the red zone to start this year. The only time they haven't scored in the red zone was an interception because Calvin Austin, instead of working to the front pylon, steps in front of Pat Freiermuth. That's the only time that they haven't scored in the red zone was that interception on a fluke play. They're so good in the red zone. The problem is getting to the red zone right now. And I think similarly, you could say the same thing about the Kansas City Chiefs. If they can get into that area, you feel good about them adding points. They're not to turn the football over. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. So I still think it's, despite how Kansas City looks right now, heck, either them or Baltimore are going to be 1-3 after next week. I still think it's a really bad matchup for them.
Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, what we've seen in years past, and I'm not saying that this is going to win them a game in January, but I feel like running or stopping the run is just so important to this team, and they're going to do everything to make that the priority. So at least if you're taking away a positive from the defense, it's that they were able to figure something out this week when it came to that rush defense. And like we mentioned earlier, Derrick Harmon is probably the biggest piece of that and the biggest factor into why you saw a sudden change from week 2 to week 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think, tip your cap to Cole Holcomb, tip your cap to Jabrill Peppers. Big for him to have a nice moment there. He said Jabrill Peppers splash play as well. So that happened with him getting a fumble there. Yeah, I mean, I think that they were turned over the internal stones that they could, and they're 1-for-1 in doing it. You got to keep in mind the level of competition, I think, there as well, but they played better, and the individual guys played better. Guys that weren't playing well, I thought played their best games. So I think across the board, they took a step forward. There's still a lot of questions about this defense. I think that we can put to rest them being a historical defense. I'd be willing to put to rest. Like, I don't even think this is going to be a top 5 defense from what they've shown and what I think that they're capable of based off what they're missing right now and what they look like. But they're good enough. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much else I could say about it. That's kind of where I'm at with the defensive side of the ball right now. Until they show me that they're going to do something more exotic than just playing cover 1, cover 3, and not disguising anything. Yeah, TJ's moving around a little bit. By the way, he looked awful. He was rushing off the right side. I don't know if you noticed watching live or if you went back and watched. It does not look effective at all when he was rushing against Will Campbell.
Maybe there's a reason that he's always rushed off the left, and we never knew it until we actually saw it in a game.
I mean, you can do the stuff with putting him over the A gap, I guess, and stuff like that, and that'll be more effective, I think, when you get Alex Highsmith back. You have Herbig and Highsmith on the edges and have him rushing over the A gap. But right now, I don't think Jack Sawyer is giving you much of an option there, and DeMarvin Leal actually played 2 more snaps than Sawyer and actually had a couple nice moments, I thought, in the run game, did DeMarvin Leal. So another cap tip there for stepping in. But yeah, I've said probably all I can say about this defense. One guy we didn't notice at all, and it's a good thing, Jalen Ramsey. Like, you could have told me he didn't play, and I would have been like, oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't notice him at all. But that's a good thing. Out of sight, out of mind.
Is this a typo, by the way? Because I'm very confused. This says that Jalen Ramsey had 3 offensive snaps.
Kneeling the ball.
Kneeling the ball. Okay.
He's the safety. He's in that Troy Polamalu role behind Aaron.
Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense. I wasn't thinking about kneeling the ball. I just was looking at snap counts and I saw 3 from Jalen Ramsey and I was like, what in the world? Did I fall asleep for 3 plays? But no.
Yeah, there was a typo. There was a typo in on the score app yesterday during Sunday or Monday Night Football. It said that Lamar Jackson completed a pass to Nate Wiggins, and it was Derrick Henry. So, like, they put 2 instead of 22, I guess. Whatever. But I was like, what? He completed a pass to Nate Wiggins.
They're getting desperate.
I mean, they should be more desperate on the defense side of the ball, to be honest, I think. Derrick Henry fumbling, I just don't see that continuing. I know it's happened in 3 straight games, but I wouldn't put money on it to happen a 4th. So, but we're not here to talk about the Ravens. Let's talk about the Steelers offense. We haven't talked about Steelers offense at all. We spent this time so far talking about the defense, and for good reason. But the offense in this one, come out and score on an opening drive again. They've scored on the opening drive in 3 straight games to open the season, 2 of which were touchdowns. Looked really good, even on the second possession. Went down, get Aaron Rodgers passing Brett Favre for sole possession on the DK Metcalf touchdown. Very similar. What Well, I guess not really. I mean, it's a contested catch. It's a beautiful play by DK Metcalf, but it's not the exact same type of like jump ball situation as the touchdown the previous week. But then the offense just sputters. Like they looked really good even running the football in that first drive. Jaylen Warren looked really good. Kenny Gainwell obviously finishes the drive off. Everything looked to be going their way offensively. And it seemed
that's
like
another cap tip to you, by the way. Kenneth Gainwell getting a touchdown.
Yeah, I said receiving, but we'll take the half point for rushing. Once New England's defense punched back, Steelers didn't have that punch back. They didn't have the answer for what New England was doing. And it goes back to, I don't know how you feel, but personally, we saw guys schemed open in week 1 with whatever the Jets were doing defensively. We've seen the Seahawks and now the Patriots in back-to-back weeks just not respect this run game enough to get out of their their too high safety look. And they're just sitting back on everything. And it's hard to pass the ball against it. It's hard to move the ball against it when you can't run the ball, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. So once New England started to be able to stop the run a little bit, this offense started going nowhere because there's no answers in this passing offense for cover 2. And to me, that's an Artie Smith problem. I gave him a ton of praise for what the offense looked like in week 1. Week 2 and week 3 have been abysmal. And to me, there's no easy buttons to press. Guys aren't getting schemed open. There's got to be like a bread and butter to a good offense. And I thought it was going to be like DK Metcalf slants and the work that they could do in the middle of the field. We're not seeing it utilized at all. Like these are things that if you asked me before the season, I thought this offense was going to look a lot different. To be honest with you, it doesn't. Like we thought Aaron coming in for Russ was going to be a massive difference into what they looked like. Not just Russ, the quarterbacks that they've had really even, last year, Ben. It looks pretty reminiscent to that. So I don't know. To me, first and foremost, I think you got to point the finger at Artie Smith for the way that this is going offensively right now.
The offense almost seems like it just is soulless. Like it has no identity to it. And
they're not good at what they want their identity to be.
And that's the problem. That's what I was going to get to. That's the problem is like they want their identity to be running the football. They're not good at running the football. And I think there's a few parts of that. I think that Arthur Smith has a play in that. I think the offensive line for sure has a play in that. I was happy to see at least Kenneth Gainwell got fewer snaps in this one than what he did the prior week. Jaylen Warren playing in 80% of the offensive snaps. But even still, like Jaylen Warren wasn't able to do a ton of stuff with what the offensive line was giving him. I think that that's a I don't want to say insolvable problem to have because obviously it should better be solvable for the Steelers to get better this season offensively. But that has been a clear problem through 3 weeks is not being able to run the football. You have no identity. And I think that affects your entire offense from there on out. And then I think that's like, I genuinely think that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than what you've gotten, even though the offense seems the same. Like he is a smarter. And I think that that's another reason not to kind of go away from the run game a little bit, but that's another reason why I think that people that want to go to the box score and look at 0 sacks given up as a plus for the offensive line. The reason that 0 sacks were given up is because Aaron Rodgers is a smarter quarterback than quarterbacks of the past for the Steelers. It's not because the offensive line was giving him a ton of time. It's because he's able to feel that pressure, identify it, and get rid of the football or get out of the pocket when he needs to. Anyway, I think that goes against the run defense or the rushing attack because your offensive line is not developing at all. And I just don't think that the offense and Arthur Smith, he does not know what to do. At least it seems like he does not know what to do if he does not get the ground game going because then the play action doesn't work and the defense is able to sit back and scan everything and basically like telling them to beat you with the arm because they know that you can't run the football. But that leaves guys just sitting back and guys aren't getting off of their defenders. Receivers aren't getting open. It is a frustrating watching the Steelers offense. And I think that goes full circle to the coordinator, to the receivers not getting open, to the offensive line. It's everything going against the grain right now for the Steelers offense.
I mean, the entire discussion about what this offense was going to be was, featuring the running backs and the tight ends. We just haven't seen it. From a personnel package standpoint, we're seeing it. 11 personnel where it's at.
Say, if you look at the snaps, you think you're getting that. But you're not getting it effectively.
The target share hasn't been there for the players that we would assume. John, who's averaging like 5 yards a catch This is one of the best yak tight ends in the league.
Had like 900 last year.
Yeah, Pat's off to a slow start. 7 receptions, 60-some yards through 3 games, something like that. Darnell, I mean, is what he is.
He just needs a
Again,
lunch at his buddy's house.
Yes. I mean, if that's the case, then he's going to go off on in Ireland on Sunday. But Darnell, is what he is. By the way, there was this talk about him losing weight or whatever. He is absolutely still well north of 300 pounds. You're not convincing me he's under 3 bills right now. There's no way.
Do people think he looks slimmer? Sorry, not to cut you off, but
he said this offseason he lost 15 to 20 pounds. He must have found it.
So he went from 315 to 300.
I'm telling you, he's but we've seen how to utilize him in the red zone. That's great. You got the 2-point play. You drew a penalty with him. You want to throw fades to him on the goal line. Great. I think that's the way to utilize him. But you can't do much with him in terms of asking him to do anything off the vertical plane or between the 20s much. So, but I thought this was going to be the feature part of this offense. It just hasn't been. I feel like everything that we thought was going to be the case with this offense and how they wanted to feature their players has not happened. Even DK. We got DK basically being like a bubble screen merchant until we get into the red zone. And then it's just throw it up. And DK's an explosive guy. If you want to get him some touches steamed up like that here and there, sure. But that's literally where all his production is coming from right now, outside of the 2 touchdowns.
Well, even the touchdown he scored on Sunday, I wouldn't necessarily say that was a receiver that was open. That was just a receiver that made a great play on the ball. You just threw it up to him. The receivers aren't getting off of their defenders, which is part of the problem.
Dude, Calvin, the move that Calvin hit this rocker step release on that DB for the game-winning touchdown, that was nasty. I mean, it's a good release by Calvin for sure, but in general, yeah, guys aren't getting open. We saw Ben freaking Skoranek, and I love Ben, but we saw him running naked in week 1. But it's a domino effect. If you can't run the football, teams are going to sit in cover 2, and you're not going to be able to throw the football at all. If you can run the football, get them to play more single high, or there's things that can beat cover 2. I'm trying to break this down to make it work for what Arthur Smith is trying, but Arthur Smith has to be better at this, at finding ways to beat cover 2. Good offensive coordinator would be. There's beaters to this. He doesn't have them, apparently. And I also think something that we need to see more of, and I don't know that we need to this isn't because of a tempo perspective, because the Steelers their possessions aren't lasting very long anyway, but just looking for another change up. We haven't seen them go no huddle at all. And we know Aaron's been seen everything. He's absolutely capable of doing this. I don't know if it's just because the relationship with Artie is so new or what, but if you're looking for another change up, that just seems like something that's easy enough to just insert that we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm. You're looking at their drives from Sunday, unless they're scoring a touchdown, they're not taking time off the clock and they're not sustaining any drives. And because you got their touchdown drives where the first one was 4 minutes and 53 seconds on the clock, 6 minutes and 23 seconds for the second drive, and then a minute and 41 seconds, 3 and out.
Yeah.
Minute and 24 seconds interception on the opening drive of the second half. Minute and 48 seconds, 3 and out. Minute and 28 seconds, 3 and out. 2 minutes and 28 seconds, not a 3 and out, but only 5 plays. And then you have a touchdown, 5 minutes and 25 seconds, 9 plays. And then end of the game, they nailed it out. But there's no consistency with this offense. And I think that's
their first down. Their first down offense, I feel has been as bad as their third down defense. We should have talked about that, by the way, when we were talking about the defense. It's even when they win on first and second down, they're giving up an absurd 60% success rate on third down, which that feels there's no way that continues to me, but it's been very poor so far. But back to the offense, I mean, they're not built to dig themselves out of these holes. They got to stay in front of the sticks. If you go backwards or even stay even on that first play, really slims down what you can do on second down. If they go backwards, it seems second down is all about just getting back to the original line of scrimmage. And then you're staring 3rd and 10 in the face, and you don't have a whole lot of plays for that. Specifically the Steelers. So it's
Steelers were 4 of 9 on third down, by the way, on Sunday.
I'm surprised that they were that good on third down. Because they put themselves in terrible spots, which again, I just think speaks to like, I think Aaron's been good this year, to be quite like considering everything about this offense, considering the offensive line, considering that I don't think Artie Smith's been very good. I think Aaron's played well in general through 3 games. He certainly had his moment. Like, I don't know what the hell he saw in the interception to Robert Spillane. That was atrocious, but like that was probably the one moment where I was like, I have no clue like what Aaron's doing. But I think he's playing well. And so point being, I just think speaks to if in the right environment, if they're able to keep him upright, if they give him time, I think can still quarterback this team.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm really starting to question if he's going to last 17 games behind this offensive line. But I saw people championing this offensive line, like crowning them for not giving up a sack on Sunday. My God, you want to talk about people that just looked at the box score? The offensive line was terrible on Sunday. That the reason that they can't have any type of downfield pass game is because of the offensive line. Isaac Seumalo, bad, very bad. People want to talk about Broderick Jones. Like, and this is kind of a low bar. Broderick has been no worse than their 3rd best offensive lineman since week 1. He's had at least 2 guys be worse than him. Isaac Seumalo is the worst offensive lineman on this football team right now. I thought Troy was pretty rough Sunday. I don't know I don't expect that to continue. I still am very high on Troy. But the Seumalo tape is awful. And I don't necessarily have hopes that it's going to get better. And I wonder how much that's playing into Broderick, because that's the guy right next to him. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things wrong with this offensive line. Biggest thing to me being they don't have an answer for cover 2, and that's what every defense sits in now. They want teams to they want to keep everything in front of them. A lot of teams are just playing too high safety, and if you can't run the ball and make them switch up from that, you're not going to have a very good offense.
So everybody loves to play the blame game. So if you were analyzing this offense, where do you put the biggest amount of blame? Do you put that on Arthur Smith? Do you put that on the offensive line? I think that those are the 2 contingents, but I don't
I'd say
know.
It's pretty even between them, but like, because I still think that there's meat left on the bone for the passing game, even taking into consideration the offensive line play, I would say more on Arthur Smith than the offensive line. Listen, we've seen Arthur Smith himself have offenses in the past where he's able to mask bad offensive line play. It's possible to do. I mean, your ceiling is significantly capped, but like we've seen it happen. And right now it's not happening here. And it's not like he's got a plethora of talent at his disposal. I get all of it. But an offensive coordinator in the NFL, at least one of any quality, a good quality, should be able to have some answers when teams sit and cover 2 all game. I mean, you're not making them change anything. Like Mike McDonald is a great defensive coach. His life was super easy 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Brian Flores is smiling right now about this offense coming to, I almost said Minnesota. We're not going to Minnesota. Technically a home game. Going to Ireland.
We're going like quite literally the opposite direction.
Yeah. So as many problems as I think Kevin O'Connell presents this defense because of what his offenses are good at doing, Brian Flores is going to give this offensive line, Artie Smith, Pat Meyer, hell on Sunday. Not to give away my prediction early here. We got Steelers Saturday sit down for that. But it's a tall task from a coaching perspective. Like, you want to talk about a massive discrepancy in my mind between coaching on both sides of the ball. This is, to me, as lopsided as it gets.
Yeah, it's tough. But the thing that's frustrating for me, and I know that the Jets weren't necessarily sitting in cover 2 the entire game like the Seahawks and the Patriots were, but I think you could argue that the Jets are probably the best secondary that they've played so far in terms of personnel, and guys were still getting open. I think that's the part that is so frustrating for me.
Steve Wilkes, like, plays, for better or worse, so much cover zero. Like he just trusts his guys to just man up and play. So yeah, cover one, cover
true.
zero. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest difference is they actually had but like that matchup happens again. I think the Jets watch the tape from the last 2 weeks and say, we're not doing that. And they would copy what we've seen. Like, this is a copycat league. That's the problem. Teams are just going to keep doing this if you don't figure out a solution. So, yeah. I don't know what else I can say other than I think that both sides have the ability internally to be a little bit better, but not much.
My solution, honestly, is something that we've talked about the last 2 games, where you think that that's going to have the success offensively, getting the tight ends more involved and getting the pass game out of the backfield more involved. We haven't even though we've said that that's how they should have success against the Seahawks and the Patriots. You didn't really have that success. You won it, you didn't win the Seahawks game. You lost that game, but you won in New England in a different way, and you didn't have any success against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't run the ball, I guess maybe extension of the run game, the screen game. I don't know. Get your running backs on some.
Steelers fans are going to love that.
I mean, they've been not bad at it.
No, I know they haven't, but for some reason it's like a triggering effect. Whenever a Steeler fan sees a screen, they just automatically get pissed, even if the screen works.
Not throwing the ball down the field. Yeah, you're starting from the line of scrimmage. They have PTSD. Like it's like the Jets sweep. They average like 6 yards per play on the Jets sweep, but fans hated it. Say, okay, well if they run that every single play, they're getting a first down every 2 plays. So.
They scored multiple touchdowns from a jet sweep.
Yeah. I mean, the Jonnu touchdown this year is pretty much
a jet sweep.
Yeah.
Technically a pass, a 1-foot pass by Aaron Rodgers.
Jet touch pass, I believe is what it's called on Madden. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I mean, just in terms of like an NFL hierarchy here, an offense like this, I hate to say it, folks, they ain't gonna make the cut. Smitty from around the 412 here, and while I may not have much hair, the hair that I do have will not be cut by anybody besides Keek at Keek's Barbershop. My friend Christian Circle, been with us since day one. Keek's Barbershop, located 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app The Cut, book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do walk-in with Tony or Ashley. But again, Keek's Barbershop, 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Go check them out. Old school vibe in there. Absolutely love it. Cannot recommend them enough. Wouldn't go anywhere else. Maybe I'll see you there. To kind of put a bow on the offensive conversation, I was about to say something stupid because like all we do on here is give our opinions. But I wanted, in your opinion, do you feel like this offense is being hampered by them not going and getting another receiver?
It depends on the skill set of that receiver. It honestly, and I know that's kind of like a cop-out answer. It honestly depends on what kind of receiver they were getting. If they went out and got another outside receiver, another Z receiver, that kind of changes things. Maybe that changes what Arthur Smith can do offensively, calling the game and calling these passing plays. I do think that they are hampered by it a little bit, but also at the same time, for the way that Arthur Smith runs his offense, I mean, if you just look at the snap counts by itself, the receivers that are playing are DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, and then there's a significant drop-off from anybody else that's playing. Like, you're seeing majority tight end and like heavy personnel packages on the offensive side of the ball. So maybe swap out Calvin for a different receiver if you were to bring somebody in, but I still don't necessarily think that just because you add another body in there, whether it's good or bad, that it's going to necessarily change how Arthur Smith is going to scheme this offense, for better or for worse. He's going to still call his game the same way. And I think I had a conversation about that this week too, is like with somebody, is why are we not seeing Roman Wilson when we thought we were coming out of the preseason? It's like, well, the way the Arthur Smith calls his schemes on offense, you don't really see a ton of like 3 or 4 wide receiver sets. And if you are seeing several receiving sets, a lot of them involve tight ends. So I don't necessarily think that because of Arthur Smith, it would change a whole lot.
Yeah, my answer is actually no. I don't think I think that it'd be rendered useless if you brought in somebody else here. Like, I don't think that the personnel is the reason that this offense is where it is. And I don't know that adding anybody else to the personnel changes anything.
What if, and this isn't necessarily adding somebody, it would at this point, but imagine if George Pickens was never traded. Does having him in the offense still change anything? Not from a mental standpoint, from an actual game standpoint.
No, and especially like the way that he wins, I don't think so. I mean, if you were to ask me, I'm trying to think of like who the best quick winner is right now in the NFL. I'll just use a relevant one because right now this is the best offense in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts. If you had like a Josh Downs in this offense, then maybe somebody like that could make an impact here where it would be a difference. At the same time, I think Cal's playing pretty well. Like, you can look at the box score and say, you're not seeing this, massive volume in his receiving game, but like, there's always going to be meat left on the bone for receivers. We talked about this after week 1, where I thought he was the best offensive player in the field, just in terms of the way that the tape looked. Like, I don't think that DK, like, I don't think that these guys are the reasons that this offense is where it's at right now. I don't know that adding somebody else to the room would drastically change the results that we're getting. So, I don't know that them not going and getting a bona fide wide receiver 2 is the reason the offense is in the spot it's in right now.
Yeah. And I think that's what I was trying to say. It's like where it really just depends on who you are adding to see if it was actually going to add to change anything. You'd have to add a very specific receiver, but ultimately, if you just hand pluck a random receiver and add it to this offense, it's probably not going to change much in terms of how Arthur's going to call the game anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to talk more about the Steelers and Steelers Saturday sit down, and very tough matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. I know it's Carson Wentz, and a lot of people might just laugh that off. But
look at what he did to the Bengals. I know it's the Bengals and their defense, but look at what they did on Sunday. 49 or 48-10. Yeah, absolutely smoked.
Does that just not speak to Kevin O'Connell? I mean, I don't want to take away from Carson Wentz and any of the players. They got to go out and do their jobs for sure. I just feel like Kevin O'Connell, if you're signing up, if your son's playing quarterback in the NFL, that's probably the guy that you want him playing for right now.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the guy in the league. But we'll talk more about that matchup, and also that's just speaking on one side of the ball. You got Kevin O'Connell going against Terrell Austin and B-Flow going against Artie Smith. Good luck, Pittsburgh. When you put it like that. But anyways, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss Steelers Saturday sit down this upcoming Saturday with Tyler and I talking about Steelers and Vikings before that 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast matchup. Ooh, 7:30 for you?
8:30 Central Time.
Oh, you're only yeah. Why do I keep
I'm Central Time now. No longer in Utah. Haven't been for over 2.5 years now. That's okay.
Yeah. Excited for that. Pops is coming down again. Was here last week. Want to know with him at the crib. But my mom will also be here. So a little bit of a wrinkle. We'll see how that goes.
So if they're losing at halftime, you kick her to the curb and say, go home.
We're making I'm making omelets, mini hash browns, and some Texas toast with Texas Roadhouse cinnamon butter.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, iced coffee. It's kind of my thing. So excited for that.
I mean, at 9:30 in the morning, that makes sense.
The spread is going to be good. We'll see how if the game can follow suit. But really looking forward to the day in general.
I mean, it might follow suit. It might be a large spread.
Join us on Saturday to talk about how we feel like the game is going to go down. I know that the vibes have not been great coming out of this one. You might already have an idea.
Despite a win, by the way. You'd think the Steelers lost on Sunday the way we were talking, but
no, I mean, again, there's a lot of positives to me to take out from that. It's just the things that still aren't there for this team really get magnified when you go against this Vikings team, in my opinion. It's just what they are so good at is what the Steelers are so bad at. So I just think that there's going to be a lot of problems. But we'll get there when we get there. Join us Saturday to break it all down. Follow us everywhere at Around the 412. If you're watching on YouTube, again, like subscribe, hit that notification bell. But if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, we're posting over there as well, including the sit down after we get done doing it live. Leave us a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Around the 412. Whether you're watching or listening, check out the links in the description to all of our great sponsors. Already talked about Game Changers, where you can save yourself $10 using code AT412. Already talked about Keith's Barbershop. Go book an appointment with the app, The Cut. But we have not talked yet about Marcel Electric, right above Tyler right now. Serving Allegheny, Lawrence, Butler, and Beaver County. Residential, commercial, or service calls, he's got you covered. That's Marcel Electric, 724-614-0611. Again, Marcel Electric, 724-614-0611. Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, or Butler County, residential, commercial, or a service call. Go to his Facebook page. Link to that down below. You can see a bunch of pictures of his work. That contact information is also over there. So even though I read all that off to you just now, it can be rendered useless because you can find all that right in front of you on the page anyway. But still, it's an ad read. So got to throw it in there. I think that's it. Tyler, anything else?
No, that is it. Just be sure to follow us on everywhere you find the podcast. Follow us on social media. Go check out Rocking Around the 412.
Oh, I didn't mention that. You mentioned it at the beginning, but I didn't mention it to wrap up here. So, year 8, Rocking Around the 412, rocking and rolling. And very shortly here, we are going to be having the stuff for the Angel Tree from East Rochester Salvation Army. So if you want to get involved with that specifically, that's coming in the coming days here, hopefully. But already got the mission going to be able to give back to local families as well. If you guys are familiar with the mission in the past, every single penny that is donated that we get that actually comes into the bank account from GoFundMe goes directly to providing Christmas for kids in the 724 and 412 areas. And then we also get a gift card for the families if they are a local family so they can get groceries to provide them with that holiday meal on top of getting the kids Christmas as well. So it's been great. It's been great to see the continued growth, everybody that helps support this cause. It's awesome to see. You know, it'd be one thing if, Tyler and I would not be able to afford to do it, but just say we could. It'd be one thing for us to just go and do this with our own money. That's not the case, though. I think that's why it means so much, is because it's so many people collectively coming together to make this thing happen. And that's why it means so much to us. So thank you for the support over the years. Let's keep it rolling and make this the biggest Rock Around the 412 yet. So again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Oh, and if you're a Penguins fan too, Penguins show coming back next week. So stay on the lookout for that. It's not just going to be the Around the 412 Steelers show all the time now. We're going to throw in some other content. To everybody's surprise,
had the first preseason game the other night.
Yeah.
It is?
It is. Maybe we'll do a short little video when Paul Skeens officially wins the Cy Young. But yeah, it's still going on right now.
And then how soon after are we going to make the trade video?
Hopefully like 2 or 3 years. But I understand where you're coming from. But anyways, yeah, if you're a Penguins fan as well, look forward to that coming back. I mean, it's not going to be a very fun season of Penguins hockey either, but like at least we know that there's I guess we don't know. We feel good that there's a direction.
There's a different expectation. The expectation is that they're not going to be good, so we can look forward to different things like individual players aspect, younger guys, Sid continuing his point per game, potentially Malkin going to be his last season, maybe. Also, this upcoming Saturday, I know that, again, this is not the Penguin show. We're closing out the Steelers show. But this upcoming Saturday, Flowers back for his last time in a Penguin uniform in the preseason game. Pretty exciting stuff.
Sure that'll be a big part of that first Penguins episode that we're going to do to kick off the season next week. So if you're a Penguins fan, stay on the lookout for that. But hey, if you hit that notification bell, you're going to know when everything's posted. Doesn't matter. It's not the Steelers show. It's Smitty Steelers and 60. Steelers Saturday sit down. Penguins episodes. Pirates at some point. But either way, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Find Tyler, Weiler _teach 33. You can find me. Zachary
Cough
Smith,
included.
Yeah, cough included. That is in there. Weiler, and then an asterisk, cough _teach 33. They can find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH. Until next time, for Tyler, for Smitty, this has been the Around the 412 Steelers show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.